I am joined by some of the biggest players in the game. Would you please welcome Caitlin Clark, Aaliyah Boston.
There was a time, not so long ago, when the Indiana Fever believed that Caitlin Clark would be the answer to every riddle they were trying to solve in their uneven, turbulent season. Her electric performances, highlight passes, and gravity three-pointers were not just adding to her own rapidly growing legend, but also lifting a struggling franchise from the shadows of years of irrelevance. The Fever, a team long absent from playoff conversations, had begun to look like contenders. They were finally healthy. They were competing with and often beating some of the best teams in the WNBA. They were rising, game by game, belief by belief. And then, in the final minute of what should have been just another regular night against Connecticut, everything changed. Again, Caitlin Clark, the two-time All-Star, the heartbeat of the Fever, suffered another injury, a soft tissue issue that left her sidelined and silenced the roaring optimism that had been building around this team. The very next night, without Clark, the Fever were outmatched and outplayed, falling by double digits to the reigning champion New York Liberty. It wasn't just a loss. It was a jarring reminder of how fragile everything still was. And when Clark missed the All-Star Weekend festivities in her adopted home city of Indianapolis, an event that was meant to be a celebration of the league's brightest stars and her role as one of its most luminous, it became clear that the implications of her injury were both physical and symbolic. As the Fever prepared to face the Liberty once more, there's a thick fog of uncertainty hovering over their playoff aspirations. How serious is Clark's injury? When will she return? Can Indiana hold on without her? Coach Stephanie White, though composed, couldn't offer definitive answers. These soft tissue injuries sometimes nag until you can actually have time to really allow them to heal in the off-season. She said after Sunday's practice, her voice steady but her words hinting at deeper concern. So, we'll just take it one day at a time, and we'll continue as a group to progress together. That cautious optimism, that careful balance between hope and realism, is where Indiana now resides. No one, not White, not Clark, has provided a timeline for her return. And so, while fans wait, while teammates adjust, the Fever are left to navigate a path filled with more questions than answers. What makes this moment all the more challenging is the incredible run Clark had just put together before her injury. In the three-game winning streak that had reignited Indiana's playoff dreams, she logged 40 points, 29 assists, 6 steals, and 10 turnovers in 79 minutes. She was orchestrating the offense with a precision and flair that only a handful of players in the league could rival. Her presence alone was altering defenses, creating space, and energizing her teammates in ways that went far beyond the box score. And more than that, she was helping to pack arenas, break viewership records, and justify the league's most ambitious broadcast deals. The WNBA has never been more visible, more talked about, or more culturally relevant than it is right now, and Caitlin Clark has been at the center of that surge. But her absence now is more than just a setback for Indiana. It's a blow to the league itself. The WNBA is in the middle of a crisis it can no longer ignore: an injury epidemic that's threatening the very quality and consistency of the product it wants to sell. According to the Next, which tracks injuries across the league, there have already been more than 140 injuries this season. That's a staggering number in a league with only 12 teams and a compressed 44-game schedule. Star after star has been sidelined. Franchises are being forced to reshuffle rotations almost weekly. And fans, eager to watch their favorite players, are instead being treated to lineups cobbled together out of necessity. This is not sustainable. The debate, which roared into public consciousness during All-Star Weekend, is no longer about whether the WNBA is growing. It is. The question now is whether it can grow smartly and responsibly. Should the league extend its season? Should there be more rest days between games? Should travel and scheduling protocols be re-examined to protect players' bodies? Caitlin Clark's situation is not an isolated incident. It's a microcosm of a broader issue that's becoming impossible to ignore. And for the Indiana Fever, the stakes couldn't be higher. This team, once left behind in the playoff conversation, now finds itself in the thick of the race. But without their generational point guard, they must rediscover themselves. They must lean on veterans like Kelsey, Mitchell, and Aaliyah Boston to take on even more responsibility. They must ask Sydney Colson, a savvy veteran brought in for leadership, to stabilize the backcourt, They must find ways to win gritty, ugly games, the kind that are won not by highlights but by heart. In many ways, this moment is a test, not just of talent, but of character. Can Indiana weather the storm? Can they keep the ship steady until Clark returns? Can they prove that they are more than just a one-star team? The answers will unfold over the coming weeks, game by game, possession by possession. And all the while, Clark will be watching, rehabbing, and waiting. For now, the only thing certain in Indiana is uncertainty. But sometimes, that's when a team truly finds itself in the chaos, in the questions, in the quiet determination to keep going.
Or second chance points. Indiana in the driver's seat, under 90 seconds to go in regulation. Colson for two. No.
The Indiana Fever are standing at a crossroads, not just of their season, but of their identity as a franchise, and perhaps even of the WNBA itself, as questions continue to swirl about Caitlin Clark's injury, the league's rising profile, and the mounting toll on its brightest stars. What began as a thrilling campaign filled with excitement, growth, and glimpses of a new era of women's basketball has now become overshadowed by an epidemic of injuries that threaten not just games and standings, but careers and long-term momentum. Clark, the charismatic and high-octane rookie sensation, wasn't just lifting Indiana on her shoulders, she was lifting the league itself. Her shot-making, her confidence, her viral moments on national broadcasts, they weren't just about winning games, they were about changing the narrative around women's basketball. But then, like so many before her this season, she joined the long, disheartening list of sidelined stars. I feel there's been quite a few injuries over the course of the beginning of this season for quite a few people. Clark reflected on Saturday, her tone measured but heavy with the weight of the situation. She wasn't alone. Minutes restrictions, delayed returns, sore knees, tight quads, they've become part of the lexicon now. Not exceptions, but the norm. Even all-stars were playing cautiously, held back from going full throttle in the very games meant to celebrate them. Clark, wise beyond her years, acknowledged the complexity of the situation. Simply extending the season creates yet another problem. Competing against the NFL and college football telecasts deeper into September. It's not just about playing more games, it's about where and when, and what it costs, physically and economically. These aren't problems easily solved with good intentions. They require smart policy, real negotiation, and a collective bargaining agreement that prioritizes athlete well-being while still embracing the reality that the WNBA is exploding in popularity, demand, and visibility. And for the Fever, the situation remains frustrating, but not hopeless. Even without Clark's gravity-altering presence, Indiana still has something most rebuilding teams don't: leadership, grit, and a belief system rooted in accountability and growth. Players like Kelsey Mitchell and Aaliyah Boston have stepped into larger roles, showing not only resilience but also the kind of poise that defines long-term winners. Mitchell's shot creation, Boston's post dominance, and the quiet contributions of veterans like Erica Wheeler and Sydney Colson are not just patchwork solutions, they're a blueprint for survival. They've shown they can compete without their star, and in moments, even thrive. The question, however, extends beyond just when Caitlin Clark returns to the court. It touches something deeper, something systemic. How does a league protect its most valuable assets, its players, in the middle of its most rapid period of growth? The WNBA's 2024-25 season was meant to mark a new chapter, an expanded schedule, increased media coverage, more national TV slots, and a growing global fan base. But with over 140 injuries already reported this season, according to data compiled by The Next, it's clear that the foundation of this next chapter has cracks. Yes, the league is growing. Yes, demand is higher than ever. Yes, there are more eyes on women's basketball than at any other time in history. But with that spotlight comes greater responsibility, not just to entertain, but to sustain. The excitement around expansion, longer seasons, charter flights, and fairer salaries cannot come at the expense of the athlete's physical health and emotional well-being. This is not just about Caitlin Clark, it's about the league's soul. Because what's the point of a primetime matchup if the stars are all in street clothes? What happens when fans tune in for Sabrina Ionescu, Aja Wilson, Breena Stewart, or Angel Reese, and they're all listed as DNPs, due to load management or soft tissue damage? How long before the buzz turns into backlash? For Clark, her injury is not a career-ending one, but it's a reminder of just how thin the margin is between greatness and burnout. And for fans, especially those new to the WNBA because of Clark, it's a rude awakening to how grueling this league can be. The schedule may be only 44 games, but factor in travel, back-to-backs, summer heat, overseas commitments for many, and the physical toll becomes enormous. While men's leagues have decades of infrastructure, rest science, and deep rosters to protect their investments, the WNBA is still catching up, and its players are paying the price. That's why these questions matter. Should the WNBA scale back its schedule to prioritize player longevity? Or is a longer, more intense season simply part of the growing pains for a league on the rise? Is there a middle ground, perhaps more rest days, better travel logistics, and deeper rosters to allow load management without sacrificing competitive integrity? These are the kinds of questions that should dominate not just All-Star Weekend, roundtables, but front office meetings and players' union discussions, because the league's health isn't just about TV ratings or jersey sales. It's about whether its stars can stay on the court and write the stories that fans are desperate to follow. For Indiana, this means surviving the now while building. For the later, it means asking more of everyone from the bench to the coaching staff, to the fans. Can they rally behind Kelsey Mitchell the way they rallied behind Clark? Can Aaliyah Boston dominate like she did in South Carolina? Can the Fever prove they are a complete team, not a one-woman show? That's the challenge, and it's one they seem ready to face. Bruised, yes, but not broken. For now, they remain in the playoff hunt, still fighting, still hopeful. As Clark continues her rehab, likely to return in the coming weeks, but with no exact timeline, the rest of the team carries not just the burden of wins and losses, but of proving their identity without their brightest light. This is where legacies are formed in the fire, in the moments no one sees coming. So what do you think? Is the WNBA pushing too hard, too fast? Should player health come first, even if it means fewer games? And can Indiana stay competitive, without Caitlin Clark anchoring the point? We'd love to hear your thoughts. Leave a comment below and join the conversation. If this breakdown gave you deeper insight into the challenges the WNBA and Indiana Fever are facing, don't forget to like, subscribe, and smash that notification bell so you never miss an update on your favorite players and teams. Because this journey through uncertainty, adversity, and growth is just getting started. Thanks for watching, and we'll